Hey everyone. So you've probably heard the term vibe coding floating around lately, and honestly, it really is a game changer. I've been playing with it myself and wanted to show you a fun tool I've been experimenting with called Claude Code. But before we dive into the tool itself, let's talk about what vibe coding actually means. At its core, it's a conversational way to program. You just describe what you want to build using natural language, and the AI helps you make it happen step by step. You're not writing every line manually. Instead, you're guiding the direction, the vibe of the project, and the AI takes care of all those implementation details. It lets you move faster, test out ideas more freely, and skip over that repetitive boilerplate code so you can focus on the creative, strategic parts. There are a bunch of tools out there that support this style of coding. I've tried Cursor and Windsurf, but the one I want to focus in this video is Claude Code. It's super simple, no fancy interface, just something you run straight from the command line. But what surprised me is how much I could actually get done with it, stuff I couldn't easily do using other tools. So step one was installing Claude Code on my machine. I opened PowerShell as an administrator. I ran the command to allow script execution on my system. I tried installing Claude Code. Right away, I hit a roadblock. Turns out I didn't have NPM or Node.js package manager available. So I opened another PowerShell window, installed Node.js, and confirmed it by checking the versions. Once that was set up, installation worked smoothly. When I ran Claude Code for the first time, it asked me to authenticate using my Claude subscription. Heads up, the link might not open immediately. You might need to copy and paste it into your browser manually. I signed in, grabbed the access code, and dropped it back into the terminal. And that was it. I was in. Quick side note, if you're already a Claude Pro or Max subscriber, you can use Claude Code at no extra cost. There's no need for API keys or anything. It just counts against your regular Claude usage, depending on the model you're using. All right, now let's put this tool into practice. I created a blank folder to store my code and opened a terminal there. I wanted to build a chatbot that could answer questions about instructional design. I launched Claude Code and typed in my first prompt. For the initial version, I wanted to have a quick prototype of the app that would just echo back my messages. Claude Code didn't wait long. It jumped right into implementing my app, and in a short while, the code was ready. I asked it to run the app. It looks decent and did exactly what I expected. In the next iteration, I wanted to connect to a real LLM using my own API key. So I asked Claude to set that up and store it in a .env file. The best practice is to store the secret key in an env file, so I asked Claude to do that. It changed my code and created an env file template, and I just dropped in my API key. The first run gave me an error. The API call wasn't compatible with the version of OpenAI I had, so I asked Claude to fix it. It rewrote the code with the correct API call from my version, and the chatbot started working. I tested whether it could remember the chat history, and it couldn't. So I asked Claude to fix that issue by making sure past messages were included in follow-up requests. Now, to make the app more relevant to my use case, I wanted the chatbot to behave like an expert in instructional design. So I had Claude configure a system prompt to give it that persona. I also asked it to move all configurations into a separate file so it'd be easier to maintain later. In a short time, it was done. And the chatbot worked beautifully. It could explain learning theory such as Bloom's taxonomy and even refer back to earlier parts of the conversation. So there you have it. We've created a chatbot application super quickly with VibeCoding. We've gone from a simple prototype through various iterations to a fully working web application. But I didn't end my project there. Later on, I went back to write documentation for the project. I asked Claude to analyze the codebase and write up a comprehensive README file, which is super handy for me in future development. And honestly, while Claude Code doesn't have a fancy UI, it's incredibly good at writing code and editing files. I used to keep tons of reusable code snippets, something that I often used, which was fine until my notes got too big to maintain. Now, I don't have to do that again. I just let the AI handle the basics while I stay focused on the bigger picture and keep iterating. What really struck me was how natural the process felt. Claude Code didn't just assist with coding, it let me shape ideas as I went. I could stay in that creative flow, focusing on what I wanted to build, not how to piece it together line by line. There was no need for a detailed blueprint, just a clear intention and a place to start. So here's the real question. What would you create if the hard part wasn't implementation, but imagination?